Hi, I'm William Stewart, co-founder of Teleios. Welcome back to our verse by verse study on the book of Mark. We're in Passion Week between Sunday, Palm Sunday, where Christ enters Jerusalem, and his glorious resurrection 1 week later. I think we are on, from how I figure up these days and looking at other information, we're Tuesday. Christ is confronting the Pharisees in general. They are after him. We're in the hotbed of the ascension of Christ, where the leadership of the Jews who hate him reside, and Christ is a threat to their power and money. So they are trying to trick him into saying something that would be seditious, and they could take to the Roman authorities and have him put to death. So the Romans had to do this. The Jews could not kill people, execute them. We're in verse 13 of chapter 12, and they sent out the Pharisees. So again, these are probably the most numerous and I think powerful leaders in Judea, and the Herodians. These are the Jews that were pro-Herod, who was the king of Judea up until 4 BC, and his family still commonly had power in the area of Palestine. And to catch him with his words. And they came, Master, we know you are true. Care for no man and regards not the person of this man, otherwise you're unbiased, and teach us the way of God as true. Now, this is a setup if I've ever heard one. So I think they're trying to build his confidence, make him think that they're his friend, and so he'll let something slip in what he says. Is it lawful to give tribute to Caesar or not? So, as a good Jew, do you pay your taxes to this nasty Roman government? Caesar is the Latin word essentially for emperor, and Rome was ruled by emperors during this time. This was the time of Tiberius. Shall we give or not give? But he, knowing their hypocrisy, said to them, why do you tempt me? So basically, he recognizes they're trying to cause him to stumble and say something that would condemn him. Bring me a penny. This is the Greek word for denarius, about 1 day's wage, and let me see it. And he holds it to him and said, what is the image in superscription? And they said, Caesar. So anytime a Caesar took power in Rome, emperor, they would immediately mint coins to spread their image and the sign of their authority. So this is a big deal. In addition, paying taxes was a big deal. An emperor wanted two things most. They wanted peace and no rebellion, and they needed to collect taxes. So, if Christ denied this, then he would be in big trouble with the authorities anyway. Christ said, answering to them, render unto Caesar the things of Caesar's, and to God the things that are God. And they marveled at the answer. So basically, Christ's kingdom at this point in the Gospels is not of this world. It is a spiritual kingdom. Later, when Christ comes again, it will be a physical and a spiritual kingdom, and a spiritual kingdom in the time of the church. So now, and as it also says in the church-related books of the Bible, the epistles, we pay our taxes and we obey the government while being under God's authority. Then came the Sadducees. Sadducees were another group of leadership, smaller number, richer. They denied the resurrection. And in verse 19, he says, they give this long example of a brother, and his brother dies without kids. He marries his wife, and they go through 7 different marriages. So when this one man dies and goes to heaven, he's had 7 different wives. So they ask him, therefore, when they shall rise, they don't believe in the resurrection, but they're saying it is here, again, in order to make him say something stupid, whose wife shall he be of them? For the man had 7 wives. In verse 23, Christ said, you err, because you know not the scriptures nor the power of God. Okay, basically, you don't know what you're talking about. Verse 25, for when they rise from the dead, they will neither marry or be given in marriage, but are as angels which are in heaven. Now, you might say he's adding the revelation here of Christ by saying these things explicitly. But I will say that there's nothing in the scriptures, the whole Bible, that says we'll be married in heaven and we'll have heavenly bodies. So it might make sense that we would be like the angels and not married. So they could have seen this and understood it themselves. Christ did not need to say this. And regarding the dead, they that rise, they that rise. Have you not read in the book of Moses how in the bush, this is Exodus 3, God spoke to them, saying, I am the God of Abraham, the God of Isaac, and the God of Jacob. He is not the God of the dead, but the God of the living. Therefore you greatly err. So he's basically saying that their patriarchs, God essentially said in Exodus 3, they're still alive. He is the God of them. He doesn't say they were, he was the God of them. So he confirms the resurrection. I think the greatly error part comes in that if they really believe there's no resurrection, not only do they not know the scripture and all the Old Testament and New Testament verses about the resurrection, they have no salvation if there's no resurrection. So they're being pretty ignorant. Okay, so what have we seen here today? We've seen that the Pharisees have come trying to cause Jesus to stumble so they could catch him. They ask about paying taxes to the government. Christ says, give to the government what is owed them, and the God what's owed him. Then about the resurrection. And Christ chastised the Sadducees for denying the resurrection and not knowing scripture, not knowing there was no marriage in heaven, asking a very blatantly ignorant question, trying to cause him to stumble. All right, we'll continue with this questioning, with the next great question from the Jewish leadership next time. I hope you'll join me then.